Ever since I can remember, I've always loved the zoos. Ever since I was a child, I remember going to zoos and just having so much fun. Um, Now, of course, I lived in Tucson, Arizona, so the Tucson Zoo didn't have um, the largest amount of animals, and certainly didn't have a great variety of them, or at least at that time. That was about 10 years ago, 10, 15. Probably more, yeah, probably more 15 now. I'm getting old. um, but I remember going there and just loving it so much. I remember the little different areas they had. They had in Africa and Asia, South America, all of this stuff. I loved going there, seeing all of the animals. I was always so happy when I went there. Um, I remember there was this one time I went there, and one of my favorite areas was closed down, unfortunately. But did that dampen my spirits at all? No. I still had a big smile on my face because I loved seeing those animals, loved making those connections. And of course, back then the internet was not as accessible, not at all. Um, so this would be my really the best way for me to see these animals, other than like the Natural Geographic books that I got. But anyways, I'm getting too off topic with my story. I was still so happy at that trip. Now, I did get rewarded for my patience and not being able to go to that one exhibit. Because what found me on my next visit at the zoo was a new enclosure. That being the elephants enclosure. And I loved it. Now, elephants weren't exactly my favorite um, animals, but I still loved it. They're so cool. I loved the environment. I loved seeing the animals. Always so very happy um, going to the zoo. And I believe going to the zoo is one of the big reasons why I feel so strongly about animals today, and why I have this, um, you know, so interested in them. Um, just trying to think of the right word, but it was just blanking. I was just, I thought they were so cool. I really did. I still do. I still think animals are really cool, and I still love going to the zoo. However, does that mean that zoos are without faults? No. Let's look at this logically. Nothing in this world is perfect, and so zoos are not exempt from that. Zoos are inherently not perfect. There is a lot of problems that persist in zoos. Some of the biggest ones and most well-known ones are that zoos, when you take an animal out of its natural environment and put it into kind of like this cage, well, not cage, because zoos have been actively working to make better habitats. However, there's still a good amount where it's kind of a confined space, and there's not a lot of animal enrichment. You don't have a lot of animal welfare, and ultimately it's just doesn't resemble their natural habitat. And a result of that is a lot of really unfortunate things, both emotional and physical damage. Um, and a common thing that's seen in animals that are stressed, and some may even believe a common trait for animals that are unhappy, pacing, where they pace from one side to another. Um, and this happens at zoos. It's unfortunate. Um, it's you would it'd be hard imagining living your entire life in just one room. I mean, sure, you got all your food, don't have to worry about any threats, but like, I don't know if I'd like to do that, and I don't think a lot of these animals would. But does that mean just because of that bad thing, and because of the fault of zoos, zoos should no longer be around. Well, according to some people, yes, but to me, no. I think if we got rid of zoos, two big things, well, multiple things would happen, but two big things would happen. One, endangered and threatened species would lose one of their largest advocates and allies, that being the breeding programs that are in zoos, and hopeful reintroduction. It's difficult, but there has been many species that were on the brink of extinction, but are slowly coming back because of human efforts. Look no further than the California condor. The story is amazing. But these efforts that were being put into place to help these animals and help our environment, they're done by people who care very much about these animals. And I feel a large part of that is because of an early exposure to zoos at a young age. Because I can speak from experience. That's where I got my appreciation and affection for animals. And so without them, the zoos, I fear many people like myself who have similar stories, we would have kids who wouldn't. Because they didn't have that exposure. And it would be very unfortunate because there'd be a lot of people who I fear would value animals a lot less than we do today and be fascinated as much by them. And I think that's something that's, of course, not good at all. Losing entire generations of future anthrozoologists and zoologists. That's not something we should exactly strive for. So, admittedly, zoos are rather flawed. That is true. No one's, well, there might be a couple people who say that zoos are without their flaws, but I think the large majority of people agree that zoos have their flaws. And, it's not perfect. However, that doesn't mean we can just stop trying to improve. I believe zoos should continue to improve and introduce projects that would benefit the animals that are currently being held at their zoos, while also focusing on things that they're currently focusing on, like education and all that stuff. Because at the end of the day, we want to improve both the animal and us. And I think through education that the zoos do is a great way to do that. And I think building environments that are more suitable to the animal and more related and identical to the ones that they have in the natural habitats. So, ultimately, I'll restate once more. I believe zoos have their faults. However, without zoos, we would be having a lot more issues that we would be facing than the issues that we currently face with zoos. And I think overall, zoos do provide a lot of good when compared to the bad that they do cause. And I can say, without zoos and the impact that they've made on me, I don't think I would be the man I am today. And so, I do believe zoos should stay.